Farmers Fair Art District here in Tallahassee, Florida. What a beautiful day it is today, right?
Yeah.
So definitely we encourage all of you watching us to join in on the conversation today for this Women Wednesdays. I'm one of your hosts, Christy Souders, the owner of Kitschy Wearable Art, and I lead the retail division for Divvy Up Socks. I'm going to send things over to our other host here, Tamara.
Hi, everyone. Oh, what a beautiful Florida day. Well, my name is Tamara Smith. I am one of the co-hosts here on Women Wednesdays, but I'm also the regional director of partnerships for an awesome organization called One More Child. You can learn more at onemorechild.org, but we are in the business of helping children and families, foster children, single moms programs, hungry children, trafficked children, providing general family support both domestically and internationally. So if you want to become a part of our effort, you can do a diaper drive and collect lots of diapers. You can help moms in the many ways that moms need help, and you can help provide food. There's so many ways that you can do that. You can find out more at onemorechild.org. And you know what? I do a lot of what I'm doing right now, hosting, live streaming services, and content creation. So if you need a little help with that, you can find me on all social media at Pam G. Smith. But I am excited to introduce our speaker today after we hear from our other co-hosts. So Olivia, tell me a little bit about you.
Hello, I am Olivia Alford, and I am your new speaker series coordinator. The coordinator for the Women's Words program for now, so that's still a thing. And I am also the owner of 38 Expressions. It is a written media company. So if you're looking for someone to proofread, edit, ghostwrite, because you can't put the words together, that's me. And you can find me at 38expressionsllc.com, and then you can find me on social media platforms at 38 Expressions. So that's me.
That's wonderful. So look, I'm going to jump in. My name's Barbara Westcott. I'm the founder of Women Wednesdays, but we also have a few team members of Women Wednesdays that are also in the audience. Robin, would you mind coming up very, very quickly? So Robin is our new membership coordinator. So,
Can't see that on the screen.
yes.
I'm Robin Yateman. Outside of Women Wednesdays, I work at Home Yard Magazine and AdMax, and I'm looking forward to helping our membership grow and keeping everybody in contact and letting you know how you can participate and get the most out of Women Wednesday.
That's awesome. So, just plan on hearing from Robin.
Yes. Maybe I'll sit here and listen.
That's right. I hope you do. So, and then Jackie, you're here, so come on up. So, look at her go. She's just so beautiful too. So tell us about you. You're in charge of our tech squad.
Yes.
So tell a little bit about that.
So if you have a technical question or a question about social media, or I already got a question from someone about Microsoft Office Suite, you can email us. There's a link through the website on Women Wednesdays, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can and either give you the answer or direct you to where you can find the answer. And then my business is Initial Social Media. I do social media marketing for small businesses and entrepreneurs. So if you need help with that, Jackie Brown at Initial Social Media.
That's great. And again, let's just recap what you just said. So anybody in the community, whether you're a member of Women Wednesdays, which we hope you are, but whatever, if you are having an issue with a technical issue, it could be something, generally it's going to be something real simple that's sort of holding you up. You can just go to womenwednesdays.com, go to our tech squad, our tech page, tech support, and you can just, put a question in there. Someone will call you back and help you. Yeah. And then also, if you want to be a volunteer, be a part of tech squad, and just help other people, do that. And the neat thing about it is, it's also to be a lead generation. So if you're connecting with other people in the community, helping them a little bit with tech, you're meeting someone, getting to know them, but you never know where that can take you, right? That might be for you in the future.
Exactly. You're welcome. We don't need to be frustrated by technology. Let's get it figured out.
That's right. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you so much. We have another member, Kendra. She's going to come up. I want you to come up here. She has an announcement. There's something that she's going to be working on that she wants to share with you. So come right up here.
Well, thank you all so much for inviting me today, and I'm so excited to talk about an initiative that I'm working on with Big Ben Habitat for Humanity, and it is this year's Women Build. And so this project, just to give you an introduction, so sorry, my name is Kendra Light, and I own Precision Building and Renovating here in Tallahassee. And last year we launched Gulf Coast Additive Manufacturing and Design, which is the 3D print construction that you're seeing going on here in Tallahassee.
How cool.
So, but the initiative of Women Build is really, really near and dear to my heart. It is a project with Habitat for Humanity that is completely funded, built by women, and then it goes to a woman here in our community. And so, just how powerful is that? I have some flyers up here at the front if you want to take a flyer, and then we're going to be doing QR codes. I can send you a link for more information. But what we are looking for, the charge that I have for everybody today, is I am looking for women. I need you to lead a team. So we need 20 teams that are committed to raising $2,500 each. And that is how we are going to fund this build for a woman here in our community. So I need 20 teams that are going to be committed to raising $2,500. And your teams will get 10 people to actually build on the build site, as well as all kinds of amazing connections and social media help throughout the time that we're going to be doing Women Build. So there is a kickoff event right here at Railroad Square on International Women's Day on the night of March 8th. And you'll have a chance to come in and sign up to be a team leader. And you'll have some time to put together all of the great initiatives for the project. And I'm just really excited about it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I've got flyers here at the front, and I'll give you a link to post.
That would be great, and that also happens to be Women in Construction Week.
Yes, it is. So it is part of the National Association of Women in Construction Week. It is part of their docket for that week. And there's going to be some really cool things going on. So if you are a woman in construction or connected to the construction industry in any way, shape, or form, we would really like you to be a part of the initiatives for that week, which I'll also send you a link on. So
That would be great, because another thing that Women Wednesdays is doing, they're starting a campaign called Train to Work.
Right.
And it's about increasing, training and opportunities for women in the skilled trade. So stay tuned, we're going to be finding more information on that as well. So thank you. Yes,
Thank you
much
all.
is happening.
All right, thank you so much.
All right. Well, very good. Well, Christy is all over the place and right back. All right.
Sorry, technical.
Anyway, well, listen, thank you all so much for being just Rosen. Thanks for joining the Women Wednesdays team. So again, what is Women Wednesdays? We're a community of women that's just helping each other succeed. And we have opportunities through Women Wednesdays to get involved. So just join us at womenwednesdays.com. So I'm going to hand it back to Tamar, who's going to introduce our our speaker today. So take it away, Tamar.
Yes, well, I'm excited to introduce our speaker. I want everybody to do a quick exercise with me. I want you to say Women Wednesdays as loud as you can, okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Women Wednesdays!
Now, why are we doing that? Because we all have a voice, and today we're going to learn about using it with Gina Hogan Edwards. She is a licensed Women Speak Circle leader, a creativity coach and editor. I just told her that I need that. And Women Writing for Change. She has the Facebook group and the group called Women Writing for Change. If you want to learn more about all of those things, I'm sure you do. First, I want you to like and share the stream to get more people on here, because we need to share the wealth. And then I want you to welcome Gina Hogan Edwards.
So let's start out, Gina. Tell us about you and what brings you here today.
Oh, I'll give you the short version. This is a really long one.
Okay.
It involves a lot of trial and tribulations, as I'm sure we've all gone through in some form or fashion. I am a writer. That is first how I like to identify myself. And I am in support of women writers as much as I can possibly be. I do that through the Women Writing for Change Facebook group that Tamara mentioned, which is open to everybody. And I realized that in the process of my own writing journey, how held back that I have been in using my own voice. And so a lot of the things that I have done in my career have involved the written word, but it was mostly for business. It was mostly for other people. And it wasn't things that I wanted to say, things that I wanted to write about. And so on that journey to really sort of I'm going to say reclaim because I don't like to say find your voice because I don't think it goes away. It's just a reclaiming of it. On that journey, I became a certified creativity coach. I continue to do editing, both fiction and nonfiction for my writer friends who are here in the audience today. And I came across a program recently over the last couple of years called Women Speak. And I have gone through the licensing process because I feel like I have as much to learn from this as I can teach everybody else. And I want to share this knowledge. These are very unique and feminine-centered techniques that we use. They've been taught to the women of the UN. They've been taught to women at Microsoft. And it's not only about a woman having her voice if she's a writer, or a woman having her voice if she wants to stand on the stage. It is about a woman being able to stand in her truth no matter what she does. In her workplace, in her family, in her community. So certainly on the page and from a stage, I like to say, but at work and in your everyday life. Just being a stand for what you believe in, being deeply connected within yourself to what you believe in so that you can articulate that in a way that others can really understand.
Yeah, it's really important. I remember seeing something from the New York Times. They put out a bulletin. They were trying to get more women to write op-eds because they didn't have the amount of women writing that they did men putting in op-eds, and they want to make sure people know it's not that we're not printing it, we're not receiving it. And so finding that courage to share your voice, your opinions, your written word, your spoken word is really critical.
Courage is certainly a factor. I also find that, a lot of us were raised, especially in this country, being told, you can do anything you want to do. Just put the work into it and you can do anything that you want to do. But I think women get mixed messages because we're also told that we need to be prim and we need to be polite and, we need to take care of everybody else. And so we get these real mixed messages about using our voice and the enculturation, and sometimes it's unconscious enculturation of women and girls to sort of behave and be quiet really does send us those mixed messages. And so courage is definitely an aspect of it. That's definitely something that we have to cultivate, and being able to do it in an environment that is safe, emotionally and physically safe, is something that Women Speak offers. Because a lot of times it's just a matter of giving ourselves that safe space to do it, being able to do it repetitively, being able to do it among a community that is supportive of you instead of competitive, is I think critical for us to be able to do this work in the world. Everybody here, I loved your shout out for Women Wednesday. We've all got the vocalization part of our voices, but our voice is so much more than that. It's so much more than the physical aspect. Everything that we do, the work that we do, the art that we might create, the writing that we do, the career that we choose to be in, all of those things are manifestations of our voice. And another thing that is an aspect of our voice that we often don't think about is our belief system. Because our belief system creates that foundation for everything else that we do in the world. And so really understanding what our own beliefs are is critical to be able to articulate clearly. Great leaders understand that they become great leaders when they can clearly articulate why they do what they do. So I'm going to invite you all. I know everybody doesn't have paper and pencil today, but I would love to do a little exercise.
Yes.
And I'll explain it in a way that if you can't participate in this moment, that you can take this back to your office or to your home to do after we're here today. One of the things that I believe helps us tap into our greatest wisdom is something that's very simple. It's compassion. And that is a central aspect of Women Speak. Connecting to compassion within ourselves and with the women that we're supporting. Our founder of Women Speak is a woman named Casey Baker, and she went to a Tibetan retreat, the Buddhist retreat, and the teachers there told her that compassion and wisdom are on the same coin on opposite sides. So if you want to tap into your wisdom, tap into compassion first. Okay? So here's what I'm going to suggest that you do. When you go back to your office or to your home, try to get somewhere quiet. If you want to sit with your eyes closed, all the better, to be able to connect within yourself. And I want you to bring to mind whatever it is in this world that you would love to see transformed in some way. What is the change that you would like to see? What can you do in your work, in your life, to bring about that change? So as you're tapping into compassion, thinking about the situation, the circumstance that you want to change, think about the entities who are affected by that, whatever that situation is. And that might be humanity in general. It might be a subset of humanity. It could be animals. It could be the earth. So it may not necessarily be. But just tap into whatever the entity is that you could support or transform in some way by changing this situation that you're in, okay? And by a situation, I mean something like, it could be an inefficiency that you see. It could be anything that you see a better way of doing. And many of you, I know, have your own business, and so you're already doing some work in the world along these lines. Tap into that circumstance, that situation, and the entities that are affected by it. And as you do this, ask yourself the question, what is it that I believe about this circumstance? What is it that I believe about the entities that are affected by this circumstance? And as you tap into that point of compassion, grab yourself a pen and paper and write down the phrase, I believe. And after you do that, just write a one-liner. One belief that has to do with that situation, the circumstance, or the entities affected by it. And then after you've written that one-liner, write the phrase, I believe again, and finish out one more one-liner. And just keep repeating that process. So for example, I believe that women and girls have the wisdom to transform the world for the better. Simple one-liner statement. I believe that we need to find a way to get beyond the enculturation of women and girls to behave and be quiet. So another belief statement. So just keep doing that over and over. You can set a time limit, or you can just do it until you don't have anything else that comes up. After you've done that, read over your list, and wherever you are in that moment, whatever is calling to you in that moment, pick the one that resonates the most. Pick the one that in that moment really calls to you. And then ask yourself, how did I come to that belief? How did I arrive at that? When did I first realize that I held that belief? Good question, ask yourself. If you can get to that, Chrissy, if you can get to the story behind why you believe something, you have already got something to talk about. You have already got a blog post or a chapter of a book or something to talk about when you get up here for Women Wednesday, or a talking point for a networking event. This list of I believe statements, that becomes your repertoire of ideas, if you will. And there are so many things that you can tap into with that. And when you do that compassion exercise, that compassion meditation, before doing your belief statements, not only does it open you up to that wisdom that the Buddhist monk told KC about, but you tap into this reservoir of insight and creativity that just flows through you.
I think that's true. I was working on a few writings. I was actually nominating some people for 25 Women You Need to Know, but I think we had to really, you really have to drive into what is the cool, what is the, and I think looking at it from a term of compassion is a good way to do it, or this person.
The why is really what you're looking at getting at in doing this, because as I said before, great leaders, they find these things that they can really talk about why they're doing it, and people can relate to that. People are inspired by that. So when we hear the why stories of why people do what they do, that is all the more reason. That's really how we end up creating a tribe, or creating a following for our work, or creating a community when we're able to talk about that why.
Yeah, so I'm just curious from people sitting here, as you was listening to this, did you have some I believes that came to you? And I'm just curious, does anybody want to share like what
I would
was,
love that.
what are some of the first things that came to your mind about like I believe? Does anybody want to share? And it made them think about something they want to write.
Well, when you talk about compassion, I think that's excellent because it's like the number one thing of teaching, like Jesus taught to love one another. And so to me, that's like in everything is just love. And if we get that love, and then your beliefs, even in very difficult situations, you can hold on to that compassion and kindness.
And that exercise that I was talking about, that's sitting in that compassion. You can end that and make your transition into the writing your I believe statements by sending out exactly what you said, sending out the love.
It's like a universal thing. It's like throughout the whole.
Yes. Sending out that love, that compassion for that entity or even the circumstance, without trying to change it in your head in that moment, without trying to make it any different than what it is, just sending out the love. Thank you, Nancy.
And that's what at the White House are. Love is the thing. Yesterday was down, but even from the White House, they were saying love is something the most important honor. Well,
Tap into compassion for yourself and the years to come.
Because I have to say, it's funny. I usually am ticked off. Like I realize sometimes I usually lead from, I'm gonna fix. But I think I would be much better to lead from compassion. Tap into that instead of sometimes can be a bull in a china. I'm gonna fix.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we talked about this in the workshop this past week. When we do it from the standpoint of, I'm going to take care of this. It's more of a, I'm the fix-it person. I'm going to control this situation. Whereas, especially when it comes to writing, if we can back off from that and not be in that position of control and just let whatever it is come through us, it's so much easier.
No, and I find, when I do that, I feel like
You burden.
no, I feel like more. You're right. More comes out. I know you were going to ask something.
My question is, what would you suggest for women struggling to find that why? Struggling to sit down and say, or put it to words, what is my why? What am I believing? What do I believe? What would you suggest for women struggling with that?
This compassion exercise that I just did, I really encourage you to do it, because that is one of the things that we do in the very beginning of Women Speak and in the beginning of a writing process to really tap into what are those belief systems. And that's why writing those one-liners, that's not so overwhelming. Just I believe, and you can take it into any area of your life you want. So you might do one I believe session that has to do with your family, or another I believe session that has to do with whatever the topic is of that book that you're really wanting to write and why you're really wanting that. And just being able to think about, once you do that, what's going to change the world? What's going to be better? And then tapping into that. Then that's what you start. Like I said, those I believe statements really do become sort of a repertoire or portfolio of ideas for you to draw from.
We did have a comment, and it says, manifesting your goals is And exclamation point, when you start getting manifesting your goals. Definitely the first step to make changes in your life or the world around you. And that was from Jeanette. Yes. And we want you to continue, as we're going, we want you to continue to share your questions and your comments. And we'll continue.
I think Olivia has something to mention.
Oh, I'm interested. Oh, yeah, it wasn't for me. I have my beliefs, but we do have a lot of people that struggle with that. They don't know. Like, they sit down and they're like, okay, I want to fix it, but what do I really want to fix? So, like, giving them a blueprint or just prompts or how do I figure that out? You know?
Yeah, starting with the I believe statements is really a very good basic starting point, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about that today. I also would love, if we've got time, I want to share briefly with you a story about one of the women writers that I work with. She came to the writing retreat that I did at St. George in January 2020. Didn't consider herself a writer. She was told by a mutual writer friend of ours about the retreat, but she came with a real need to put something on paper. She had something that was really, really tapping at her, could not leave her alone. 2 years ago, she was 8 years old, right? And so what she was drawn to write about was when she was 60, she volunteered to set up a refugee camp in Kosovo. And she did that and spent a great deal of time with the refugees in every aspect. While she was over there, she sent emails back to the U.S. and told her son Will about what was going on there and all of the people that she was meeting and the challenges that she was up against. And she had to sort of center herself in some ways because there were things that she couldn't share with him, but she gave him enough to where when she got back from that trip, she sort of fell off of what happened while she was there. Unfortunately, her husband, or her son rather, passed away. And so her wanting to put this story down was not only the story of her experiences in Kosovo, but it was a healing process for her because of losing her son. And so she didn't consider herself a writer. She didn't know where to start. But over the last 2 years, she's participated in her writing sessions, and she has persisted with putting down these little vignettes of her experiences there. And she felt like nobody really wanted to hear about this because when she got back and she tried to tell the rest of her family about these experiences, they were all like, these stories are too hard, you know, and you need to stop it. You need to stop telling these stories. And so she shut down for a while. And she felt like if she could get this story out there, that maybe because her son Will had been in academia, maybe there would be somebody in that arena that might be interested. She didn't consider herself an academic writer, and so she had all these things sitting around in her head. But she kept writing. She kept writing. In May, her book will be released. And she has been recontacted by several of the interpreters that she met while she was over there. She was being interviewed on an international podcast. She received an email from someone that she had given an advanced reader version of her book to. This woman is a college professor. It was really because of her son's academic background that she hoped that this would someday touch the people in academia. And so what this woman wrote to her after reading her advanced copy was, it was a unique opportunity for me to read about what it's like to set up a camp from scratch and from an individual's perspective, rather the impersonal language and writing used in official reports. And she goes on to say how she has given these refugees an identity. You know, we often see them as groups, and all of the academic reports and journals that she's read were telling her stories about the camp, but not about the individuals. So what this woman has done has given an identity to every one of these people, has revealed them as the people that they are. And she had no idea that this was going to connect with people the way that it has. But she was so driven to write it, she needed to write it, and she didn't know where to start. And she just kept at it. She kept tapping into that connection. Right?
Wonderful. So what's the book?
I'll post it.
Okay.
But I heard, oh no.
No, you're. So I mean, I understand. Like, so I'm a journalist. I was professionally for a little while, but I know that innate desire to have to write something. But what is this? Why is this a form of self-love? Why is this a form of, being good to yourself and doing something that is healing for yourself?
I love that question. I'm fascinated with the intersections of creativity, self-expression, self-love, and also well-being. And so I love that question so much. When we do not speak our truth, when we hold ourselves back, and I know this from my own personal experience, it can actually manifest in our bodies physically. It can make us sick. It can affect us in ways that sometimes are not obvious on the surface. It is an act of self-love because we stand so deeply in our truth. We are able to connect more authentically, and I know that word is overused a lot, but we are able to connect more authentically with the people who are within our circle. And I was talking about this with Michelle briefly beforehand. When we have an experience, we often think that it's, oh, that's not interesting, or that's not something that we would be interested in. It's not that important. But all of us have these unique experiences and perspectives about those experiences that if we share them, not only is that healing for ourselves, but you might actually be able to share a pain or a circumstance with others that they can not only relate to, but realize, I'm not alone. She's experienced that as well. And so being able to not only give yourself the benefit of speaking your own truth, but being the example for other women and giving them permission to do it as well, all of that to me is part of self-love. All of that to me is deeply, deeply motivated to do this wonderful work.
Go ahead, Jackie.
I just wanted to have a comment about, I think everybody seeks community, whether they're actually actively coming to an event like this or they're seeking community, people that they can feel like-minded with, supported by, shoulder to cry on. And we can't do that until, number one, we know who we are, and then we're willing to give of ourselves to strengthen the community. If I talking to Peggy, I'm like, so don't tell me anything about you, I don't really care. She's not going to want to be a part of my community. So it's healing. I completely agree with that. And saying things that have happened to you, and I know Barbara has been pushing me to write my own story too, but when you say what you've experienced, it can inspire so many people that you'll never meet. But there is that proverb of, maybe it's an old saying, not necessarily a proverb, but the wise man plants a tree he knows he'll never sit under. And that's what you do when you put your experiences down with other people. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And I think, I would say for me, I sort of say this a lot, but it's true. And that is I was so afraid for the first half, more than the first half of my life, to express myself verbally or in writing. I was really afraid. And I started a vacation rental business, and I think my writing really developed writing up these properties. I would have to write up the properties, and then, I really wanted to create women's words for Women's Wednesdays because I do think our voice matters, whether we're speaking or whether we're writing it. I went to Toastmasters because I was afraid to speak. I'm just wondering how many people here are afraid to share their voice or to share their written word. Raise your hand. Are you afraid?
You feel like you get that knot in your throat and no words are going to come past it. Yeah.
All right, let me ask it the other way. Who here is not afraid whatsoever to share their written word or to share their voice? not afraid. That's great.
There may not be anybody listening.
Yeah. I honestly think that there sort of like, whether it's fear or whether it's not or anxiety or just you get that like built up, you know what I mean? It's like nervousness or just, I think everybody has that adrenaline when they do share their voice starting off. And then it's just like pushing past that, you know what I mean? It's like you just have to like, no. I have a couple teenagers in my life, and they're not very good at doing their homework if you're watching. And too hard, or you know, one thing happens, and then it's like, oh, it's too hard. I can't do it. You know what I mean? But you just have to like push past that. And I feel like that's that feeling, and that's what that is about being afraid to speak your voice.
So I'll offer an alternative perspective about the nervousness and the pushing through. And I hear what you're saying, I agree with that. But this is something else that might support you as well. That energy, call it nervousness if you want to, anxiety, whatever, that energy that comes up when you are in front of a group is necessary in order for you to be able to do it. Because up here, sitting up here, we're receiving a lot of energy from you guys. You know, all of your attention is on us. And if we didn't have some level of that energy to be able to meet yours,
It would just be blowing you over.
yeah. So, you know, that, think of that energy as your power to be able to speak instead of nerves. Okay? The pushing through thing has never really worked for me because I get these voices in my head that are trying to protect me, right? And so what I have found with the Woman Speak practices, and we have a lot of different, especially movement-related things that we do. These are a more approachable thing for me. That sort of pushing through and, you know, barreling on, it just hasn't worked for me. And so I needed some alternatives, and that was one of the reasons why.
I didn't say it was healthy.
Yeah. And if it works for you, that's awesome. I mean, I have seen you, I've seen you do great things. So I know that it does work for a lot of women, but, you know, Women Speak is a little bit more, I don't want to say gentle. It is a more feminine-centered approach. Toastmasters, you know, they sort of take the get up there and fake it. Fake it till you make it kind of approach, and that doesn't work for some.
Well, we do have a comment from Princess. It says, writing is my gateway to my freedom of my fears and a voice to others hearing me. But I want to also mention this comment because I think they're related.
Profound.
Yeah, they are profound. The comments today. Jeanette says, empowering other women, yes. When we circulate that energy, it grows, allowing each of us a bigger share. So they both kind of spoke to that when you release, you're kind of matching energy or giving energy, but there's a freedom that comes from that release when you doing that sharing.
Absolutely. And that goes back to the self-love question.
Well, like, I'm curious, when we do women's speak, writing and so forth, are you working more on building the confidence to express yourself and how to do that? Or is it more perfecting the craft? Like, where does that kind of...
The actual Women Speak program is a combination of both. So we have certain speaking practices, if you will, you know, eye contact, stance, things like that we do work on. But it is more about being able to share your voice, being able to understand yourself in a way that you can present yourself authentically, and you can speak about your beliefs and what it is that you do in the world, what it is that you want to do in the world, in a way that's clear and confident, so that you can be heard in the way that you want to be heard. Because if we're muddled up in our heads and we're muddled up in our words, people aren't going to understand us, people are not going to want to hear what we have to say. And like I mentioned before, you know, if you are in a business or you have a certain mission or a cause that you're really trying to get off the ground, being able to clearly articulate about that and about the why behind that is really going to inspire people and draw people into it.
And I think really when you have have that passion, when you speak with such, like, I don't know, principle, then other people feel that and they want to join up with you and they want to buy into it. You know, so.
Principle is a great word. Integrity too. Integrity.
I want to know personally, like, why you developed this program. Like, what spoke to you? Like, what manifested in you to start this work?
Okay. I didn't create the Women's Speak program.
Okay, yeah,
It was a founder. But what brought me into it was my own journey in trying to find my voice. It was my own struggles in, standing up in front of a group and feeling like words aren't going to come out. And in my own personal life, being really clear about the kind of person that I want to be and making sure that people perceive me as I would like them to perceive me. Obviously, you can't control other people's perceptions, but knowing that I was doing everything that I could do to make sure that I was presenting myself in a manner of principle, integrity, and authenticity in everything that I did, whether it was putting words on a page or standing here in front of you today, or talking to my family, or in my workplace when I worked in
Yeah, and I realized like for a big part of my life I was hiding. I was holding back. Because
That's hard for me to believe is authenticity. It really is.
No, but like if it involved, I mean, I will talk to everybody, just talk. But if even doing Women Wednesdays, I just have to be myself and talk, because if I try to be formal, that would just kill me. It would be terrifying to me.
Some of the things that I've done in my background have involved me getting into sort of that teacher mode, some of the writing workshops and things. And so I could slip into the teacher mode really easily. But to be able to carry on a conversation and make connection, because oftentimes when you're on the stage like that, you're not necessarily with the audience, but to be able to connect with people. I felt like that was something that I really wanted to do. And it also goes back to what Jackie said about community. Being able to share within a community and to have that grow and be examples for each other using our voices.
But I think too, like letting go of perfection.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
because yeah, because like I know I'm not like the perfect person up here, like the things that I do, but like if I tried to hold on to that, I would just never do that. And I think the same is true for writing. If I'm trying to be perfect, I go, well, when is that going to happen? And I know, like, Olivia was the lead for Women's Words before, and one of the things we write on there, we're not, because anybody can submit an article to Women Wednesdays and we'll publish it. And we say right on there, we're not asking for perfection, but just your best. And when you're first starting out, your best, might not be the greatest written work there ever was, but it'll be okay. And you just build on it.
A companion to the perfectionism is comparisonitis.
Yeah.
And I think that oftentimes that will hold us back. Oh, yeah. Because even if we can let go of the perfectionism and just, get those words out, then the next thing that steps in is that comparisonitis. And did I do that as well as she did? Or could I have done that better than she did it?
No one has time for that. No one
Yes.
has time for that.
No.
Yeah, and I think in your written word, it does give you an opportunity in a way like with speaking, it can kind of happen so quickly, although that can be really organized and controlled. But I think in the written word, you do have that opportunity to do multiple drafts, to clean it up, to really work it so it does communicate.
Tamara and I were just talking about this beforehand. What I always suggest strongly to the writers that I work with is the first few drafts, write them for yourself. And that will help you with that perfectionism. Just write whatever it is that you want to read and whatever it is that you want to say. And then in your revisions, when you go back, then that's what you worry about. The grammar, the spelling, the punctuation.
Technical things.
Well, you have to hire somebody else, for the editing.
Yeah, you can hire, exactly. Getting your truth out. Just
Well, and you do that. Why don't you say that? So that's
Yes.
what your business is.
Yes, that is what I do. So the editing, the proofreading, putting it all together for you, even ghostwriting. If you don't want to write it down and you want to speak
speak it, you say, we sit down, you talk, I write, and then I put that together for you. So just get started. And I always say also, if you're having trouble writing, write the first word, then write the second word, then the next word, and before you know it, you'll have a whole book, you know.
Yeah, but it's okay to ask for help.
Yes,
Have
it
people
is.
help you
Yes,
that
and
writing
it's not
process.
cheating to have a ghostwriter. It's not.
Oh,
It's not
I'm
cheating.
glad you said that because
No.
I could just imagine
Yeah.
someone thinking, is that the same? Yes, and
No, it's
many
not
many
cheating.
books in Barnes and Noble right now were written by ghostwriters.
Yes.
But we have a viewer, and I'm sure many of us are thinking during this conversation, it is going to wrap up soon, but how can we get involved? One of our viewers said, how can I get involved with this opportunity? Through the services and support that you provide, Gina, how can everyone tap in?
There are several ways. I mentioned before that I have a Facebook group called Women Writing for Change. No matter what genre you write in, no matter what experience level you are, if you're just starting out or if you have published books, I invite you to join into the private Facebook group. You can just do a search on Women Writing for Change. There are several variations on that, but it will come up. The other way is in times of not pandemic, I host writing retreats, which hopefully we'll be able to get back to soon.
That sounds nice.
Yes. Yes. The last one that I snuck in when we thought the pandemic was over was in North Carolina. Caroline was there. And then the one before that we did down in St. George Island. And those are usually 4 to 7 days. And so I can certainly let people know about that. And then the Women Speak program is something that I teach ongoing. There's a monthly participation that you can get involved in. It's on my website at ginahoganedwards.com. And in March, I'm also doing a 2-day workshop called Be a Woman of Impact. It will be over Zoom, so you don't have to worry about social distancing or travel or anything like that. Anybody can join from anywhere. And that's all.
Yeah, and then I also want to express it. So we have a program called Going Places. And it's really so any of our Women Wednesdays members can create their own event, whatever that is. And so you're tying, one of your things to a Going Places event. So can you kind of talk about what you're doing? That's also going to be a Going Places.
No, this is not a retreat, unfortunately.
We're ready to retreat.
A lot of women are, so that's
Because it's something you were going to do anyway, but you just also package it with a Women Wednesdays Going Places event, so we can all push it and promote it.
Yeah, so
express that.
so you told me about Going Places, and so I worked with Lanisha, and she gathered the information about the workshop that I was already planning to do anyway. And Women Wednesday is going to be able to let all the membership and the other folks who are in the community on Facebook know about it. And so I, as a Women Wednesday member, get that exposure that I would not have had otherwise. And hopefully more women will know about it and be able to attend because of the services through Women Wednesday.
Right, and then so for Women Wednesdays, we
paid her to say that.
Yeah. Why would we?
Oh, you did?
Women Wednesdays will be better if it's not just what we create, it's what we
Bigger
we create. Because we again, we're a collaborative community of women. We want to support each other, but we want to tap into the abilities and mind power and opportunities that everyone has to offer. So, for anybody else, if you're doing something and you think you want to also take your existing event and make it part of our Going Places program, more power to all of us, to be more aware of different things that people are doing. So, any closing words? Is there anything you want to share with everybody before we end today?
I guess the only other thing I would say is, we are hearing a lot out there in the world about voices right now. And I'm afraid that the phrase, your voice matters, is going to sort of become cliche, which is good and bad because cliches become cliches because they're really true. But I want you to embrace the truth of that and not think of that as a cliche. I want you to embrace whatever it is that you stand for in this world and being able to articulate that, being able to give voice to that and share that, both for your own benefit as well as for the benefit of those who have the opportunity to hear you.
or preaching.
Well, that's great. Well, let's have a round of applause. So listen, one of the things we do for Women Wednesdays is we take a group photo. So I meant to add, so next, I should have said this first. The person who will be speaking next week is our member Barbara Kahn, and she has a travel business, and she's going to be talking about, traveling in this sort of post-COVID world. What are some of the things you need to do, be aware of, how you can make it happen? Because let's face it, we want to get back to doing things and going places. So she's going to give us some guidance on that. So anyway, hope to see you back next week. And then after that, we have the 850 Health Summit. We're going to be working on that. Come on through. You're fine.
Oh,
Come on through. But anyway, we'll be doing that. And then we're also going to be, your event that's coming up in March. And then launch of Tradesworks. So stay tuned. We've got a lot of really cool things that are coming up. So we're going to go ahead and close out for Women Wednesdays. Tamar, did you want to say anything else?
I was going to say, with all of those great things going on, if you are not yet a member of Women Wednesdays, go to womenwednesdays.com, find out how. We have many reasons why you should be a part. We are a community, and you will walk away with takeaways. Also, this will live on the Women Wednesdays Facebook page, so make sure you share. And comments, we can see them coming in, so let's continue to have this conversation. I really think that this time flew by, and we're going to need a part 2. So just make sure. Yeah, it just evaporated. It was a great conversation. So make sure you continue. If you're online, right there. Even you ladies here in person, let's continue online and find out how to tap into Gina's services.
That's excellent. All right, so we're going to close it out. And if everybody would come down for our group photo, that would be amazing. Just line up right here behind us and help us.
Bye, everyone, on our live stream.